And welcome to today's journal. So today I set out to do the integration. In fact, the day has been quite busy and I was feeling very tired, very sleepy. So when I was going to start coding, I told myself I was going to code for only 30 minutes. And unfortunately, the place was very noisy, so I couldn't record myself from the start. But now I have retired. I'm about to sleep. Like not that I'm feeling tired, but once again, tomorrow is Friday. I have a lot of work. I have a lot of meetings actually tomorrow. So I need to sleep early and it's past 12 a.m. right now. So I need to go to bed to be able to wake up tomorrow. But when I started today, and you can see on my screen, what I've done is to try work on integrating the authentication service that I built into the code base for code snippets, which is the API that I'm building. And I ran into a whole lot of issues. Trust me, even though I said I was going to spend only 30 minutes coding, because of the bugs, I couldn't leave it and come and sleep. So I ended up going for like 2 hours trying to fix that bug. And the very first one that was painful to solve, I was on ChatGPT all the while trying to find out what could be the problem. So from the beginning, I thought it was a TypeScript error. So I was trying to figure out what TypeScript error it was, try to fix all the issues that ChatGPT was giving me. I had to end up deleting the node models and reinstalling them, checking the packages that I have installed, all the dependencies, and none of those things worked. The funny thing is that this code is what I wrote yesterday and it was working before I came to sleep. So what came into mind was the only different thing from what I did yesterday was that now I've added a new code base to it. So it's as if the new code base is what is breaking something, but I've added a lot of code such that if I want to take them down one by one to help me troubleshoot or identify what the problem is, that is also going to take a lot of time. So I needed to find a way around it. Then once I spent more than 30 minutes on that, and I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with it, even with the help of ChatGPT. So I decided to now go back to the docs. So this is where we say RTFM. Those of you who understand, you understand it. But I went back to the docs to read, only for me to realize that the version of a particular package called Nano ID. So Nano ID is a package that allows us to generate unique IDs. So I'm trying to use Nano ID to generate unique IDs for every code snippet that someone is saving on the platform. And that was where the problem was coming from. But from the documentation, that's from their GitHub repo, I read that the ES models that I was using, like the so when I want to be able to explain this so that everyone, irrespective of your knowledge, you'll be able to appreciate it. So JavaScript in itself has like different kinds of syntax. Right? There's something known as CommonJS, and we have what's referred to as ES6 and all of that. So it turns out that the version of Nano ID that I'm using does not work with CommonJS, which is the the default one that we work in when we are working with Express.js, and Express.js is what I'm using for the API. So technically, the version that I'm using is not going to work. But the funny thing is that it was working yesterday. So I was now wondering, how is it that it worked yesterday but it's not working today? But as the documentation says, version 5 is not going to work. For CommonJS, you have to use version 3. So I just went back to uninstall the version 5 that I had installed and installed version 3. And that was when it worked. So that was the only solution to the problem. And you can't imagine all the things that I did. I was debugging this by commenting things and console logging a lot of things to figure out what is wrong, not knowing it was just the package version. So eventually I was able to fix that. Then I move on to now, let's go and test this code base that I've added and make sure that everything is working fine. I begin testing with Swagger and it's not working. I tested this thing yesterday and it worked fine. Like, what is happening today? I don't know. Like, that's when I said to myself that coding is indeed fun until it is not fun, because I literally tested this yesterday and it was working fine. So I don't know why it will not be working today. So after a couple of tries, I realized that it wasn't even going through at all, because I had put some console logs in there. And as usual, I'm expecting that if it gets to this point, I should see that it is getting here. But none of the console logs were coming through. And it's surprising, but silly me. It turns out that I had configured Swagger to use a particular port. But when I imported a new authentication service into the existing code base, I changed the port number that I was working with. So Swagger is trying to send a request via port 7000, whilst my app is now listening on port 5600. So there is no connection. It isn't going through at all, and I spent more than 10 minutes trying to debug that one as well. I feel that I was tired. Maybe I should have come back and slept as I was supposed to. But eventually I figured out that it was the port that was the problem. So I fixed that and I started testing it. I was able to create an account. So now it has been integrated into the code base and you're able to create an account. I was able to log in. It generated a token for me. So the next step is to try creating a code snippet. And that is where I am running into the last set of issues. And I decided to not give up, but stop there. So if you can see on my screen, this is where I've got into with the errors. And this is, I'm using Tender Client. That's an extension in VS Code that you can use. It's like Postman. Those of you who know Postman, it's like Postman. So sometimes I use that as well to test my API endpoint. I figured that the problem right now is with my passport JWT strategy. So if you have heard it before, if not, don't worry. You would probably get to know about it later. But passport is a package that is used for authentication purposes. And essentially what I'm looking at is when you have logged in, you are assigned a unique token, and that token contains your user details. So how I created it, it contains the user ID, the user's role, like what role do they have on the platform, and I think one other thing. So those three things are embedded in the token. That means that anytime you are making a request, we need you to make that request to the server with the token. The server will have to take this token and detokenize it, try and figure out the content. All right, so there is a middleware that you need to create for JWT that is used to authenticate the user. In the first place, is going to check that is this token valid, and if it is valid, what are the things in there. So it's going to create a user object with all those details and attach it to the request that is coming in. So right now, when I take that middleware out, everything works fine. But if the middleware is there, it doesn't even proceed. So it means that the problem is with that middleware. And hopefully tomorrow, when I make some time, I'll look at it and try fix it. But today, I think I'm done. I want to retire to bed, and I'll keep you guys posted. And I hope you're enjoying this series or set of videos. I look forward to when I know some of you have reached out to me, motivating me and also encouraging me to keep putting out these videos. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone that is encouraging me, and I look forward to updating you as I build this, and hopefully every other thing that I build as well. And it's my hope that as you watch these videos, you pick up one or two lessons here and there, and they will be helpful to you. Thank you, and see you in tomorrow's video. Bye bye.